teacher educators. We are human rights educators. Global Forum for Teacher Educators. La 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 la.
Hello, good day, good afternoon.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marte, and I'm here with Julia Bentz, the author of the book Creative Approaches to Climate and Peace Education. And we're both very excited to be here. And before we introduce ourselves, we just want to say that we are very grateful to Dr. MOOSA for giving us this space and for being allowed to talk to this wonderful global forum for teacher educators about our book.
Yes, huge thank you to MUNIR and the Global Forum for Teachers Educators to create this space where teachers can continue to engage and keep learning and keep doing this important work that you all are doing. And we will speak about our book. First, we can introduce ourselves. My name is Julia Bentz. I'm a researcher. I'm working from Berlin, based in Berlin, but I work also in Portugal and in other countries of Europe. My focus in my work is on art and storytelling. What kind of potential can that offer for education, for engagement in sustainability and peace? So Marte, would you like to present yourself?
I would. My name is Marte Skaarta. I'm based in Oslo in Norway. My background is in journalism, oceanography, and meteorology, as well as human geography. Earlier, I've been working with the UN Climate Change Secretariat and the Forum for Sustainability and Environment in Norway. Now I run a small organization called Climate Creativity, where we work with storytelling and art in learning and communication about climate change.
Yeah. And we collaborated on this book that you can see on the screen. It is open access. You can freely download it through this link. If it for any reasons doesn't work, we can also share the direct link in the chat. Yes, so shall we talk about the book then, Marta?
Let's.
All right, so why this book? Well, we're living in a time of complex challenges where we are facing climate challenges, we are facing challenges how to live together with people from different backgrounds. We have wars and conflicts across the globe. We have mass extinctions. So we wanted to do something to address these challenges and also to address a different challenge that is related to this seemingly gloom and doom scenario that we face. So what we see is that a lot of young people are extremely worried, which is of course understandable, but also seem to be sometimes even apathic, not knowing how they can actually contribute. And this was really one of our deep motivations to do something that people feel they can contribute, they matter through new modes of learning and new modes of teaching. Next, yes. So what we experimented with and what this book shows is how creative approaches can be a means to learn about climate change and peace in a way that is connected, because these topics are connected, and also in a way to learn about in a way that creates personal meaning and joy. So you may ask, but why storytelling? Well, storytelling has been part of our human history since the very beginning, and it can be a way to allow us to feel climate change or peace in a way that moves us emotionally and opens our imagination to new possibilities. That's how Karen O'Brien puts it, a climate scientist. We can also learn through stories, and as Mary Catherine Bateson says, that we, since the very beginning of humans living together, we have learned through stories, and and also storytelling can be a ways to imagine different futures as a tool that enables us to put energy towards these futures. So storytelling orients itself toward the emergent, the not yet there, and participants in the materialization of new realities, writes Emily. Imagination is really important when we think about the futures, when we think about how to realize futures that we think are desirable. And this quote by Lucille Clifton highlights that, saying that we cannot create what we can't imagine. So we think it's crucial to think about futures that we actually want to create. And this book and storytelling and art can be a way to do so. Next slide, maybe. So this already links to the motivation of the book, to create a resource that is creative, that is inspiring, and that is also accessible for teachers, for practitioners, and for students, and that fosters a new narrative, one that is not only focusing on the dangers and the risks we are facing, but one that is creating hope and wonder and enchantment and a feeling of I matter, I can contribute, I can do something. And also we wanted to do something that connects both the ideas of climate change and peace, because we believe that these ideas are very closely connected and create new norms of care, oneness, and connection with nature. Yes, and to be something useful, as I already said, something that can be applied in classrooms and in workshops across the globe.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, Julia, about like the new narratives that climate change and this new future is something that can be explored, and that our role in shaping this new world or more sustainable future is also a part of that exploration. And like I said, I'm based in Oslo, Norway, and what we see here in Norway is that youth that has been super engaged in climate strikes and in like taking practical actions in their own life, they're becoming really discouraged and losing their motivation. For the 2 past years, engagement has really gone down. So it really, really shows the importance of this narrative of I matter, that we are able through learning, through the education, to actually show the learners, the young people, how they matter, and that their experience matters, which is possible to do through storytelling. And also that the art really can show this thing that Julia just said, that peace, climate change, nature, these are entangled, they're not separated issues. And I think, for example, the illustration on this slide showing a peace garden is a wonderful example of that. It is a co-created garden, a space where learning can take place and sustainable practices can flourish, and where people from different communities in the cities come together, learn to coexist in peace. And that's a wonderful example of what you just said, Julia, and what we want to show in this book. This book is also a really it's made in a process that is very co-creative. There are stories by 9 different storytellers who are practitioners involved in practical education in some ways related to climate change and peace. We started with a storytelling workshop. The storytellers submitted their drafts, submitted the finished stories, and the illustration process was taking place because these 9 stories was illustrated by artists. And this all happened while Julia was writing the book and while I was involved helping with the editing, both of the stories and the text. And it was really a process where the stories helped shape the book and the book helped shape the stories, which made the result very unique. Learning as a journey is a chapter in the book, but it's also that the book was formed through a journey. It's also a journey that was very attentive to place. The storytellers are from different parts of the world, and the stories are taking place in different parts of the world. And the artists who contributed to the book is also reflecting this diversity, where we have artists from Mumbai and Bangalore in India, from Germany, Pakistan, Armenia, artist with roots in Turkey and Buenos Aires, living in the US and in Italy. And to us, that was really important to really see the places and the relations as well in this book and on this journey. Yeah. Do you want to talk a bit more about the journey of this book?
Yes. So the structure of the book is also like a journey. So we have 5 themes that are possible ways of entry points for teaching climate change and peace in an integrated way. And of course, there are many more themes possible to teach about these topics, because climate change and peace or non-peace are virtually affecting all areas of our lives. So with these 5 topics, we just illustrated 5 examples that can serve and help in looking at these challenges through a specific topic, through a theme that helps anchoring the conversation on something, other than seeing only the whole complexity. We can still observe the complexity, but through a specific angle. That's the idea. So we have 5 themes: hope and imagination, many meanings of peace, healing trauma and creating resilience, connection and community, and learning as a journey. Next slide, maybe.
Yeah. So I wanted to show you double page from the book itself. As I said, there are 9 stories in the book. This one is by Aditi, who is a learning experience designer at UNESCO. And the book is really highlighting the real life experiences and ideas and kind of wisdom from different practitioners and first-hand accounts of both climate change and peace. And that the idea is that we can really learn from and be inspired by these stories, and that we can see teachers and educators as a whole person with their life experiences inspiring their students as well. And this is a little bit a different way maybe to do learning. There was a review in a newspaper called Midday, where the person who wrote the review, this journalist, said that herself, she found geography lessons in school boring, and that she couldn't really understand or identify with like the gray illustrations and the difficult graphs. But what engaged her about this book was that these are stories by people who are really engaged with climate change, with peace, and that their experiences, their lived experiences, really related to her life and her actions. And that is really the goal of the book, to help learners convey their own stories and see how these topics are related to their own lives. Therefore, we also in the book has really practical examples and ways on how to use storytelling and art in education. This is one example of how to tell a compelling personal stories, going to the very specifics of finding a memory, describing the sensations, sharing emotions, sharing what you care about, including reflections and insights, knowledge, and looking forward to see if there is any hope or dreams that you want to share with the world.
Mhm. And the book also provides you with concrete questions and examples how to use this book in an educational setting, how to use storytelling, what can be prompts, what can be questions that can be reflected upon, related to the specific theme of a chapter, and also how to use art in this context, how to use creative methods in teaching climate change and peace. So here are just a few examples. You can find more at the end of each chapter. Yes.
Yeah.
And there's also an application example Marta will tell you about.
Yeah. I work, climate creativity works with schools and different projects, and this is an example I want to show, an art project where we worked with 3 different primary schools, where the students were out by the ocean. This is a coastal place, and they were removing plastic waste and other waste from nature. Being out in nature, they were also allowed to fish and play and have fun. And this is, they would take the plastic waste back and actually use this to make a small art installation with these ocean animals. They made an octopus, 2 turtles, and a jellyfish using old traditional tools and being allowed to use their creativity, collaborating, and also telling stories about the things that they found. So really taking a difficult environmental issue, making it tangible, allowing for collaboration and hope through collective action, allowing them to be in nature where they can play and connect to the elements and be creative together. And I guess this is really why we're so happy to be here talking about the book to such a global network of teacher educators. And we really hope to inspire you to experiment with different creative approaches that you find in the book or elsewhere. We hope you'll embrace your own curiosity and creativity by really taking part in the learning process, allowing creativity where it is, because kids and also older students, they really have this creativity within themselves, and sometimes you just have to allow for it. And to remember that we are all learners and educators, that we are on this journey together. Climate change, peace, these are really complex issues, and nobody has all the answers. So to be open and curious, and whatever educational context you are in, it might be your family, a neighborhood, a school, or a university, there is really always the possibility to create spaces for co-learning and creativity.
Yeah, and we want to thank also all people and institutions who contributed and supported us. Of course, all the storytellers, the illustrators, the artists who illustrated the stories, and the designer, and last, also not least, our institutions who supported this work and made possible that we could also distribute it open access, so that you can access it for free and share with anybody interested. So yeah, and of course we also want to thank MUNIR again, and you all for being here, for doing this important work, and for helping us to create a better world for everyone on this planet. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, here's the QR code where you can access and download the book and use it for free in your work.
Right. Huh. Thank you. Well, if you have questions, of course, we are here to answer anything that we are able to. So I think MUNIR will help us to pull up any questions.
Yeah, Salima MOOSA has a question asking how to promote environmental literacy amongst school-going children. Any tips or strategies? Do you want to say something, Julia, for that?
Sure. I think in my experience, what really helps is to create curiosity towards these topics. And I know that a lot of our environmental education in the past has very much focused on what is going wrong in our way, how we interact with the environment, but not so much on what are the solutions. So how to create curiosity among young people is probably not so much related to the problems, but related to the fascinating interactions that are taking place among natural beings. How everything is so wonderfully connected and fascinating. So there are ways, for example, to create curiosity, and just like gathering, for example, a natural object and really observing it very closely, and then expressing it through creativity, maybe through a poem, through a letter from the stands of the natural being, be the leaf or a seed, or there are so many ways. Maybe you can also find a few in the book.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that because also in the stories in the book, there are some great examples. For example, using photographs, like if you are able to provide the learners with a camera in some way on a mobile phone or another type of camera, that they can actually take photographs of their environment, and that this can be a way to explore nature, the environment. Photo voice, I think it's called. Then there are also other ways to use images. For example, that the children are allowed to express themselves, like showing images that other people have taken or making images in their minds. I also think the story about the peace garden in the book is really beautiful, and that like bringing learners outside into nature is such a beautiful way to learning about nature. And I remember reading this research that says that children they recognize brands like McDonald's and Coca-Cola. Their recognition of those brands are better than their recognition of species in nature, like different plants, trees, and animals. So just going outside as a way of learning. If you're a city, it might be a botanical garden, or there are always these different spaces that could be used. So Yeah. Next question. Any tips to publish my student stories on environment? I think that's a really, really good question. I believe that in different places there will be different answers to this question. What we have done with climate creativity, we have writing competitions for youth in Norway, and it's been really important for me that these stories by the students are read not just by their teachers and us, but really by by a wider audience. So we have had exhibitions and the Museum of Natural History in Norway. They have a climate house, so there are these kind of museums or spaces for climate change or environmental issues. Also, libraries. We had exhibitions there. Libraries are a beautiful non-commercial space that really cares about storytelling. So if you have a library, that's a beautiful space. In many places, there are also these like online publications that are maybe more niche for that cares very much about nature or climate change, where it's been possible for us to have those stories published. And it also helps that the stories are illustrated, because as soon as you have an illustration or an artwork to go with the story, you can put together an exhibition more easily, and it's easier to get something published because then you have something to draw the reader into the story. So we have had all the winners of the story competition illustrated by youth as well. So that's a little tip. Another question. I guess it all begins by becoming more mindful in education, by increasing our own personal and professional awareness to keep up growing as educators and learners. Beautiful. It is a great proposal for continuous improvement and growth. Yeah, thank you for sharing that reflection. That's so true and so beautifully said. Yeah, we really hope Myra is saying that it's a great gift for educators. We are really hoping that you want to share this book, the link with other educators that you know. We really our greatest hope is that it can be used in some ways. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, another.
So there's one more comment. I'm highly interested in studying that book to make learning more enjoyable and promising, to grow along with students and parents as a great contribution with the society and find ways to create a multiplier effect with others. Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I think that was actually our deepest hope, I would say, to also inspire us all in creating, in embarking on this learning journey that may never end along our lives, right? So to keep growing, to keep learning, and to keep open, and to spark creativity.
Yeah. You also write about that in the book, Julia, that really like to kind of challenge a little bit like the hierarchy in education, that it's not like learner teacher, but that we're all learners in a way, that this idea of like learning throughout your life is really strong.
Absolutely. I learned a lot through the students that I've been engaged with, and I think it is it's truly inspiring to open ourselves up to this possibility.
Yeah. Okay, it seems like those were the questions. Great questions, and thank you so much for asking. We would also love to hear from you if you used the book for any purposes, like what's your experience, how was it useful for you. So you're very welcome to reach out to us. Maybe we could share the email somehow, maybe in the comments on this video. My email is marte@climateillustrated.com. So there you have it as well. Would love to hear from anyone.
Yes, and MUNIR can also share our emails later on if possible.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was wonderful to have you all and to share this virtual space with you across so many different countries. And we are very grateful for you taking a Sunday evening or afternoon for speaking and learning about these important topics. And also, again, a huge thanks to MUNIR and the whole organization of the Global Forum for Teachers, Educators. I think it's really, really wonderful work that you're doing. And yes, so I wish you a wonderful rest of the day or evening. And yes, I hope to hear from you possibly or meet you in another occasion. So, bye.
Thank you.